This is a video about crew training and specifically regarding to skills and perks. This is David from cheapbooks.com for the video game World of Tanks, and I'm going to show you some examples. What this is going to cover has to do with how many skills and perks do you really want on your tank. The limit, as far as I understand, is that you can have 5 skills and perks in total. And, in theory, you would think, well, the most skills and perks that you have, the better. But it's not exactly true. If you have a lot of tanks, I would say once you get your 3rd skill near 100%, don't be obsessed with your 4th skill, because for the most part you're going to get into areas where the 4th skill is not going to be quite as useful as your first 3 skills. So you probably want to make sure that your tanks, all of your tanks, have their first 3 skills before you start worrying about the 4th skill. And here is my analysis. We're going to start looking with the commander. My commander has Sixth Sense, which is very important. Some people call it the best skill in the game. It has Recon, which allows you to see further, and Camouflage, which allows you to hide. Sixth Sense will let you know if you've been detected by an enemy tank. Now, the other common skills that he could get are Repairs, Firefighting, Brothers in Arms. Repairs I don't need because I have the 2 repair kits. Firefighting I don't need because I have the automatic fire extinguisher. Brothers in Arms is very difficult to get because every single one of your crew members has to get it at 100%. So it's not easy to get, and I would say don't become overly obsessed. It will be a lot of work for you to get Brothers in Arms active on one of your tanks unless you have only 2 crew members like the ELC AMX. Now we've got Mentor, provides additional experience to all crew members. As you can see, my crew members, this one has 100%, this one's at 110, this one's at 110, this one's at 110. This can also be done through consumables. If you go into your service tab, you'll see that there's going to be something like extra combat rations, plus 10% to all crew skills and perks. So that can be replaced with consumables. Mentor is good, I would say, as a 4th skill. You should consider it. Jack of all trades is another skill. This allows the commander to replace a crew member who's been injured. For example, if your driver is injured, you're going to drive half as slow. If your loader is injured, it's going to take twice as long to load. So if you have this skill, your commander, assuming he's in good health, will allow him to take on those tasks without, even though those people are still injured, they'll continue to operate more efficiently. It sounds like a great skill. I definitely recommend it. It would be a good 4th skill. However, a large first aid kit or a small first aid kit could replace this. So you could otherwise use a large first aid kit, heal everybody in your crew, and it nullifies the need for the Jack of all trades. How often does it come into play? I would say occasionally I have crew members that are injured, but not often enough that it really is a concern for me. So this is a possibility for a fourth skill, but I would rather focus on the first 3 skills of my other tanks before I get into Jack of all trades. Eagle Eye, you can read about it. Once you understand, you'll see it's very useless, ineffective. I don't recommend it. This tank doesn't have a radio operator, so some of the radio operator skills for the commander would be useful, such as situational awareness. However, for the most part, these skills are not very useful because our radios on my Tier 9 tank are very powerful, and he's not the radio operator anyway, so it doesn't matter. The point is that once he's got his first 3, Sixth Sense, Recon, and Camouflage, the only other 2 options that make sense would be Mentor and Jack of all trades, because I don't use the large first aid kit. But I wouldn't obsess over these. So once I get my third skill completed, I'm going to focus on my other tanks and getting the skills higher on my other tanks rather than working on this. Now let's look at the next member, which is the gunner. The gunner here I have Deadeye, increases the chance of causing damage. You definitely want that. Designated target makes the enemy visible for additional 2 seconds. You definitely want that, especially if your gun reloads in like 2.5 seconds, like the E25. Camouflage, you definitely want that. Let's look at the other skills. Repairs I don't need because I have the small repair kit and the large repair kit. Firefighting I don't need because I have the automatic fire extinguisher. Brothers in Arms, very difficult one to get. I don't recommend it. Improves the accuracy of a damaged gun for armorer. It's very rare that your gun becomes damaged. Snapshot improves accuracy during turret rotation. This is a heavy tank. Most of the fighting is at close range, which means that the accuracy is going to be really high at close range. So other than that, when you're shooting in the distance, your turret doesn't turn very much because the other tanks are probably just sitting there and you're probably just sitting there. This is only for fast tanks, and this commander is not, this gunner is not on a fast tank, so it really isn't that useful. Would I like to have it as a fourth skill? Definitely. It will be my fourth skill, but I would rather focus on getting Deadeye, increase the chance of damage for all of my tanks. I'd rather get that, the additional 2 seconds in the camouflage for all of my other tanks before I start focusing on a fourth skill for my gunner. So let's see what we got here. Driver. He has the clutch braking so he can spin the tank. Camo and a smooth ride. Improves accuracy when firing on the move. Repairs I don't need because I have the small and the large repair kit. Firefighting I don't need because I have the automatic fire extinguisher. Brothers in Arms, you need the whole entire crew to have it. It's very difficult to get. Controlled impact is for ramming. How often do you ram someone? It doesn't happen that often. Off-road driving, obviously you do this all the time. I kind of wish I had that instead of smooth ride, because smooth ride is more for light tanks and medium tanks, and this is a heavy tank. Preventative maintenance, preventing engine fire, that rarely happens. So as you see, although I would rather have off-road driving for this tank, I'm not going to postpone crew improvements for my other tanks to get this to be the fourth skill. I would rather have the camo and clutch braking and off-road driving on all of my other tanks before I move this on and start focusing on a fourth skill. So let's see, after we have driver, we have the loader. The loader is going to be the same thing. You know, we don't need firefighting because we've got the automatic fire extinguisher. The Brothers in Arms is very difficult to get. Everybody needs it before it's active. And it has to be at 100% for everybody before it has any effect. And the effect might not be that great. Intuition rarely comes into play in the game. You could go hundreds of games and this will never come into play. Safe stowage, preventing from ammo racks. How often do you get ammo racked? It happens very rarely. So the adrenaline rush comes into play when you're close to dying. You get faster reload. You always need camo. Repairs are pretty important, even though it's redundant by my repair kits. As you can see, that fourth skill, intuition, would be a waste. Safe storage would rarely happen. Brothers in Arms is impractical. Firefighting is not necessary. I don't really need a fourth skill. The point of this video is that with 3 skills at up to 100%, you know, I'm in the 90s, it's pretty close. 3 skills is really, really good. Now I'm going to show you the radio operator, which is on my TOG, so you can see once again that what I'm saying is true. Radio operator skills. We got repairs, camo, firefighting, Brothers in Arms. I wish I had picked camouflage. He's only got 2. So I would take camo. You don't need repairs because I've got the small and the large repair kit. As you can see here, small repair kit, large repair kit. In terms of firefighting, you don't need that because I have the automatic fire extinguisher. Brothers in Arms, all 6 of my crew members would have to have it at 100% before it takes effect. And all it does is increase the modifier for the training level, which I currently have at 110%. And it can be influenced by purchasing the consumables such as coffee and tea, colas, chocolate, etc. Call for Vengeance, mostly useless unless you're a spotter. Signal boosting is good, and relaying is good. However, at the higher tier tanks, the radios are strong enough to go across the map. So these are good for low tier tanks, but once you get up to tier 8, 9, and 10, and maybe other tanks, because some of the tier 5 tanks will have tier 9 radios, you don't need the extended signal range, and you don't need the relaying. So what happens is you're going to need the camouflage, and you're going to need the situational awareness, and maybe signal boosting, but with 2 skills, you can have a very effective radio operator. You don't even need 3. I would put probably repairs, perhaps, for the 3rd. So why work on the 4th skill? Why put a lot of effort into getting that 4th skill for a radio operator if he's not going to be able to use it because his radio equipment is good? And you're not going to have a 4th skill on a lower tier tank anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So the point of this video is that for almost all of your crew members, you only need 3 skills, but you got to make sure that those 3 skills are the correct skills. Camouflage, anything that allows you to see further, anything that allows you to do more damage. This loader has as a skill safe stowage. If I had to do it over again, I would have chosen a different skill. Intuition isn't very useful, but Adrenaline Rush is pretty useful for this tank. Because of my playing style, I always have games where I have less than 10%, and I could use a little bit faster reload time. But in terms of ammo racking, I don't think that this tank gets ammo racked very often. It's something I rarely come across. I would rather have repairs. A TOG is a tank that gets hit frequently. People are constantly trying to assault it. You need those repair kits and repairs. I would not use safe stowage on almost any tank unless you have a specific problem, unless you're constantly getting ammo racked. So that was a mistake, and I didn't know any better at the time. To me, it sounded, hey, yeah, I want safe ammo rack. But now I know better. Now I wouldn't get it. Now, knowing that having 3 skills is the most you should really be pursuing, it's better to have your 3 skills, the best 3 skills, and I've gone through in detail. I've made videos for every crew member that explains the first 3 skills that you should have for optimal playing. Since this tank already has 3 skills, the best thing to do is make sure that they're the proper 3 skills. Get them up to 80 or 90%. But then when you have those events where they give you the bonuses for crew training, don't try to get a 4th skill. It's not, you're not going to get the big advantage in the game with a 4th skill that you might think. Very little advantage to getting 4 skills or even the 5th skill. So when you've got the days when you've got advanced crew training, pick some of your other tanks, perhaps like this one, that's about to go up to a 3rd skill, and focus on getting 3 skills for all of your tanks. Once you get 3 skills for all of your tanks, then move on to the 4th skill. For example, today I had a game where I had a person's experience that says I need 9,800 to advance to the next skill. I've been tracking some of them. I had a game where I earned 8,000 experience for my crew member in one game. And it was for a tank that has 3 skills. And I'm going to stop focusing on training those crew members, and I'm going to start focusing on my other tanks that only have 1 or 2 skills and leveling them up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. So the summation is 3 skills good, 4 skills, not so good. I'm sorry. 4 skills are diminishing returns. You want to get the first skill, the second skill, the third skill. Make sure that they're the correct ones. Watch my videos to find out what they are. But once you get up to that 4th skill, you get a strong diminishing return. The usefulness isn't really there. Don't obsess about it.